everyone. I'm David Bodorf, AIC Executive Director. And later we're going to be joined by Christopher Goff, a justice on the Indiana Supreme Court. But I wanted to provide an update on opioid settlements and also how some of those funds could be used in the criminal justice system. The original settlements in Indiana are governed by Indiana Code 4-6-15. The original settlement was $26 billion national settlement with Johnson & Johnson, AmerisourceBergen, Cardinal Health, and McKesson. Indiana's share of that settlement is approximately $508 million, and half of that will go to local units of government. All counties are receiving funds from that, and most cities and towns will receive funds in this settlement. The same is true for these subsequent settlements. Indiana will receive $59.4 million from Walmart. That's part of a $3.1 billion national settlement. $219 million will come to Indiana from CVS and Walgreens. Indiana will receive $128 million from Allergan and Teva, and $7.6 million will come from Publix. Again, all of these national settlements in Indiana are governed by the statute, and half of those will go to local units of government. Here's a great resource on the Attorney General's webpage. Two documents here you'll want to look at. One is the Excel spreadsheet that has the distributions for subdivisions by year, and then also the eligible uses of the restricted fund. This is an example of the Excel spreadsheet on the Attorney General's webpage. You can see it has annual distributions for each unit of government, and then also the cities and towns within the county. Please note that the funds are not distributed consistently from year to year. This is all part of the settlements, but this original spreadsheet extends for 18 years. These calculations do not include all the subsequent settlements, so you'll want to continue to check this web page quite frequently as new funds arrive to Indiana from the new settlements. Again, some other resources besides the Attorney General's webpage. You should also visit the Next Level Recovery webpage. This is the state of Indiana's webpage under the governor's office. It has best uses on there, and again reiterates how the restricted funds can be spent. Also, you'll want to visit the NACO webpage. They have a great resource for Opioid Solution Center. Again, best practices really across the country, and it may give you some ideas on how you want to spend your money. And then finally is this Opiate Settlement Tracker. This is a relatively new document that we've been working on with the researcher. And I'm happy to say that in Indiana, 100% of the funds, it's transparent on how they're being spent. That can't be claimed in all states. You can see the states that are in white, they have the 100% transparency, and those that are not in white, it's harder for the public to discover how those funds are being spent. So now we're going to invite Justice Goff to join us and talk about how some of these funds can be used in the criminal justice system. Again, thank you for joining us. Joining me now is Justice Christopher Goff. Justice Goff is a member of the Indiana Supreme Court, and prior to being on the Supreme Court, he was a judge in Wabash County. He is our first repeat guest, so glad to have you back. Thank you. He's a great partner with local units of government, local judges, and really the criminal justice system and all the partners that we have at the state and local level. Justice Goff, last year you helped organize an event in Wabash County for mental health and rural justice. Can you give us a little bit of feedback on how that conference went?
Yeah, well, David, thank you for having me, and I'm happy to share that the first, hopefully annual Rural Justice Summit for Justice and Public Health Professionals took place last October, and there were over 300 justice and public health professionals that came to my hometown of Wabash, and really had a wonderful time discussing some of the shared challenges that come with service in rural communities. And they were also able to collaborate and share some best practice ideas and really become aware of tools that have been made available to rural communities as they seek to improve their justice system and their behavioral health responses. Participants learned about the state and local partnership through our JRAC system. They spent a lot of time learning about system mapping and they learned some of the skills and became aware of some of the tools that I think you're going to share with our viewers today that are available for their use in discussions around opioid settlement.
Thanks. And I do have on here the local Reinvestment Advisory Council webpage. If you're not familiar with this local JRAC page, I encourage you to bookmark it and visit it quite frequently. And you'll find a lot of great information on there, including the opportunity to get technical assistance for your JRAC, your local JRAC, and some of the objectives they have. As a reminder, listed here are the members of the local JRAC. Again, the county executive sits on that, the president of the county executive, and the president of the county fiscal body, county commissioners, and county council. And again, they don't have to be the ones who sit on it, but it's better if they are, because again, this is really a team effort at the local level. And oftentimes the decisions of our justice partners affect the county's finances and county spacing. So it's important that the county officials attend these meetings. We were able to look through the first report that was due last year on how local units of government are spending their money. And there are a lot of counties who haven't made a commitment as of last year on how they're going to spend the money. I think that's changing now. But if you want to be able to find out what other communities are doing, you can go to the state's webpage. You can find this annual report on the FSSA webpage. And these are some of the information we found that how counties were using the money as of last fall. Again, Boone County using some of their funds to help with probation officers and the training they have through the Indiana Office of Court Services. This training really helps them to have an understanding of the needs of people who enter the criminal justice system with addiction issues. And so we think this is a great potential use. Again, we're not trying to tell anybody how to spend their money, but we want to make sure you know of some best practices that are out there. And we think Boone County has used their money wisely, and thought we would offer it as an example to our viewers. Also, in Cass County, they purchased 10 tablets that are being used within the jail. Again, these tablets are used to help do training and having better understanding of the people in the jail who are suffering from substance abuse issues. So again, this is how they spent their money. Again, it's from the opioid settlement, but it can be used to help people who are involved in the criminal justice system. Here's Dearborn County. So their JRAC, their local JRAC, actually helped develop the spending plan. Of course, the county council has to appropriate the money, but we think this is another great idea because you have so many partners involved in the local JRAC that I think it's a great idea to have them involved with how the county is going to spend their money, but also bring in the cities and towns and try for a coordinated effort to get as much out of the money as we can. So we think this is a really clever way for counties to plan locally and include the court system. And again, you can help fund problem-solving courts or additional staff to the problem-solving courts. Justice Goff, in some of your travels, I think you said you've recently been to Dearborn County to do some training. So.
Well, Dearborn County is doing some wonderful work down there, and I had the opportunity to speak at a training put on by our Public Defender Commission, and the subject of it dealt specifically with the IRACS program. But it was just, I thought, a really good example of bringing together a lot of different constituent members of their local and really for that training regional justice systems to discuss this problem that everyone's dealing with and really try to develop some common solutions.
Here, example in Davies County, again, using it within the criminal justice system, using it with the sheriff's office. And again, I know they've had a lot of conversations with what we call the justice partners to help figure out what they can do locally to help people who have these substance abuse issues and mental health issues as well. So again, I think the JRACs and the increased communication we have with the judges, their staff, probation officers, the sheriff, the public defenders, community corrections, mental health, has really helped Indiana advance. And I really think Indiana is doing a great job in staying in the forefront on criminal justice, including mental health services, but also how we're spending this opioid money.
I agree.
In Floyd County, this was the matching grant program that again was through Doug Hunsinger's office, and Floyd County was a recipient of that. And again, they ended up hiring a person to help with jail transition as people who came into the system with addiction issues as they serve their time and are leaving. This transition officer helps them find resources in the community to help them stay off of drugs and reduce recidivism. So again, we think that this is a great use of opioid money and working with our justice partners on how best to serve the public.
It's a great idea.
In your travels, have you had some other examples of how you've seen communities working together?
I think I shared with you, and I think, David, you might have been part of that call as well. There was a recent call just for all of our local stakeholders, really, to talk about creative ways, sort of common challenges that folks are dealing with House Enrolled Act 1006. And Floyd County has really done some good work there as well, and they were generous in sharing some of their experiences during that call. So I think all of the examples that you cited were excellent, and I hope that your members share their experiences with others. Obviously, this good work can be replicated in other communities.
Again, we just think the local JRAC could really be a convening body to help coordinate everybody's efforts, and not even maybe just within the county and the cities and towns within the county, but multi-county. I know some of the smaller counties, their distribution is much smaller, but if they work together with other counties around them, they'll be able to create programs to benefit not only their county but the entire region.
You know, David, one of the things I think is important for your members to maybe think about is they have access not only to your excellent staff here, your expertise, but the National Association of Counties website, and that Opioid Solutions Center that's on there really, I think, gives a lot of support to what you just said. I spent some time navigating that website after you were kind enough to give me this invitation, and they really speak about creating an entity just like local JRAC in order to have these conversations. So your members are really ahead of the game.
Well, again, appreciate your coming over. Any closing comments? Again, we're honored that you're our first repeat guest. I think that's a great note. We're going to have to put that in our history books here at the Association of Counties. So.
Well, I'm honored to be here, and I sincerely thank you for your leadership here at the Indiana Association of Counties and your strong partnership with the courts and all of our justice partners across the state. You know, just real briefly, what I hope that your members know and hear from myself, my colleagues on the Indiana Supreme Court, but all of Indiana's judiciary, is we appreciate your service. We respect the important role that you play in our justice system, and you're really ahead of the game when it comes to this subject in particular, because of the way that these funds are distributed. And so, what I want you to know is just what David said. Your local JRACs are a great place for you to have these conversations. Please engage your judges in these conversations. We're going to be letting them know, and we have been letting them know, that it's important for them to be having these conversations too. And really consider that Opioid Solutions Center and your resources here at the Indiana Association of Counties, because they really put you in a good position to make things better in your community.
Great. Again, thanks for being here. And for those watching, thanks for watching the video. Please be sure to share it with other county officials and other people in your community who are interested in this subject. Thanks, everyone, and have a great day.
Thank you.